right, everybody good?
I think we are. Are you feeling it? We feeling it? We feeling it?
I'm so ready to get started on these.
Welcome, everyone, to an episode of Midnight Movie Distillery. I'm one of your hosts, Logan Lynch. I'm super psyched about this.
Oh, okay. I'm another one of your hosts.
Wow, way to kill the energy on that one.
Price. I'm also really, really psyched about this.
Psych.
And I'm on black, and I'm okay.
Dick. So what are we doing again today?
So we are now in brackets 5 and 6.
Sprockets?
Technically 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 and 4.
Well, I guess the third bracket.
The third bracket.
The 5th and 6th.
Fifth and somebody's already been drinking.
No movie. We're doing bourbons first.
Oh,
bourbons.
Way to jump the gun.
Oh, sorry.
Wow.
Sorry.
I wonder what the next episode's going
We've
to be.
done 4 bourbons, but that's the first 2 brackets. So now we're pitting, and I keep looking over here because I've got it on my little chart, and I'll show you guys a little later on.
We'll bring it up on the screen.
Well, we can actually...
Because we're
Remus.
fancy.
Do we want to do it right now?
Sure.
Make sure his porn is closed.
We got Remus over here going up against Russell 10-year.
Dun, dun, dun.
And so if you remember from the last couple of episodes, the way we are doing the bourbons is we have these 2 boxes. It's very scientific.
Mm-hmm. Super. These are Schrodinger's cat boxes.
And Lon knows what's under A and B, has poured the drinks for Logan and I.
And myself.
And himself in A and B. But what he doesn't know is what order we put the glasses down. And I'm going to turn it upside down because the bourbon will come out. Yeah. But there are tabs on the bottom with A and B on it. Tabs?
And I don't know which glass is
A
and which glass is B. And they don't either.
We don't either.
So we don't know which
Super
one.
scientific.
I know with this, they don't even know which one's A and which one's B.
Right.
So I don't know which one's which.
Would the whiskey under here been already had already been drunken? Fuck, I tried something and it didn't work.
You looking for English? Is that the thing?
Yeah, it's like, where will you go with that?
Don't worry about it.
All right.
I was trying to do the whole
talk.
cat thing, but
Anyway, so the point is this is as close as we can get to a blind test.
And I think it's pretty good,
I
actually.
mean, I can close my eyes and drink anything.
I mean, the whole Long Branch and 4 Roses. I mean, that was crazy.
That was awesome.
I was so sure I knew what was what.
So was I.
And I was so wrong.
Yes.
So if you haven't seen that episode, you should go back and watch it. That's a good one.
Yeah.
This will be better, but go ahead and watch that.
Okay, so shall we start little smell test on
Okay.
here?
Yeah. Okay. Are we going left first, or does
Doesn't
that matter?
matter. Doesn't
We don't know
matter.
which one's which, so it doesn't
That's
matter.
true.
It's not my left is different than your left, possibly.
Man,
Cool.
for some reason, my right one's hanging a little lower.
That's what she said.
Now here's something I
very
can tell you. One has a little bit more
caramelly.
vanilla caramel smell to it. But I will also say this. I've never had Remus. Whoa.
Wow. That
Did
was...
sniff too hard there?
Yeah, that was...
Wow.
I think I got COVID.
He's out already.
No, I'm just kidding. I am getting the vanilla.
One smells a lot more potent to me, for sure.
Yeah.
But,
that one smells way more... This smells really pleasant.
But I've never had Remus, so really I have no idea
This is going to be interesting.
how it's going to compare. All right, here we go.
We're drinking too? I thought we were just going to stare at the whole
I
episode.
do. That's why I came tonight.
Oh,
Okay.
that's wonderful.
Yeah, this is really good.
All right. You know, I should have got us waters. I'll get us waters for the next episode.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just so we can palate cleanse a little bit.
No, because this way, Logan gets to talk about his side venture of what we can use.
Yes,
as
there
a,
is this. I had
as
this
a,
awesome
as
idea.
a palate cleanser.
We should have
That'll
a
be
palate
worth the
cleanser.
time.
I'm thinking you just get some communion things from the church. Pop
but
those
there you
bad
go.
boys
But
in.
that's the body of Christ.
I
Yeah.
know.
So
that's
flesh,
truly cleansing.
So flesh is your answer? Eat
Yes,
flesh to
yes.
cleanse your palate?
And you need a pound of flesh for
Pound of flesh.
Anyway.
Yeah, flesh,
Well, I'm a fan so far of
flesh for fantasy.
my first one. Oh, are you doing double fisting here? I was doing one for 3 drinks, then the other for 3 drinks, like we usually do. But
This is very interesting because I've tasted the second one now. I don't know.
I don't know
It tastes
much.
It does not taste as good as this first one, but is that because I drank this one first?
Well, also I will say
See, I'm 2 drinks into the first one.
Yeah. I did one of each.
the second one, which I thought was way stronger in the smell,
Yeah.
is actually a lot more calm when you're drinking it.
I get that too. I get that
Okay,
as well.
fine. I'll do my other one.
But now I'm going to start with that one and go to the first one.
See, it's funny. This, to me, again, the more potent one, has...
From smell-wise, right?
Right. Has way more of a Scotch...
Yes. That's exactly what I'm
taste to it.
Yep.
In what way? In the fact a barley taste to it, or
yeah, I mean, or just I mean, it's almost like a little bit peaty to me.
Really?
This one is definitely
smooth.
It's caramel. It's vanilla.
This is like trying to make out with my tongue.
I get no peat at all.
Really?
I do get some sort of a dull taste. It's not really pungent or sweet. It's not necessarily bitter, but I wouldn't call it smoke. I'd call it just a little bitter.
And maybe I'm misdescribing it. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily smoky peat.
Yeah, but this other one's delicious. The other one's
I think I burnt my mouth from
nice
the pizza.
and sweet. Yeah. Does that affect our beverage?
It's actually funny. I'm actually.
Now you're getting into it.
I'm really getting into it.
Which one? The non-smelling one?
Yeah.
The one he's describing as peaty.
Yeah. When you said Scotch, that was that triggered in my head the same type of sensation.
All right. I'm gonna give it a minute.
I like both right now.
Yeah. So do I, but for different reasons.
Yeah, exactly. Like polar opposite reasons.
Like I thought this first one, which was the one that smelled better. I mean, it's really smooth.
Right.
Like
it's very good.
I think this is really, really good.
Yeah, I agree.
I think this is the. I can't remember what the hell it's called. The Russells.
Do you think it's the Russells?
Yeah, I think this is
because
the
it's
Russells.
10 year. I don't know how old
The
Remus is.
I'm gonna guess 8 on Remus. I don't know.
How old aged is Remus whiskey?
It's gonna come back with your.
It's gonna say
Siri's gonna come back with
right.
your voice.
Here's porn that you asked for, starring Remus. See, I didn't pay attention to it.
You asked way many questions about alcohol. Here's the number for the local Alcoholics Anonymous.
Alcohol, Al-Anon. Try it. Okay. See, man, this is what's gonna be hard is trying to pick which one I like more. Right?
I know. I really am going towards the other one. What does it say about Remus?
6. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
you got new bottles. It's not going to look like the Remus you people might know. It doesn't have the Remus dude on the front anymore. They changed their labeling.
I think I'm going to make my decision.
All right, I'm going to do one more sip in, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. This is an interesting one. I mean, I like them both, but I like them for different reasons. I think I'm actually going to go for the one that I would have thought I wouldn't have gone with.
Really?
So, with Scotch in my mind, as I'm tasting it, I can kind of get a little bit of that peat, but I think it's because it's an influence thing. I think I think it's just influencing me because I did not taste that at first. But it's definitely nowhere near as sweet and honey-like as this one.
Sure.
But I think I generally like the Scotch taste more than
I do too.
Than the pure bourbon taste.
I do too, but the other one is still not. I mean, I don't hate it. I love them both, but
does 4 years make that much of a difference?
I don't know. I don't know which one's which. But that first one,
according to the judge, it did.
This one is a little smoother. Nice. This one is a little smoother.
Yep.
So I'm entitled to think it's the Russell because that's a 10-year.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's got more of a dull flavor, a bitter flavor, or that Scotch flavor is what you're calling it.
But you think that's the Russell?
You think that's the Russell?
Well, no, that's my problem.
Oh.
I think that would be the Remus because I think the Russell is very sweet.
Yes,
that's what I was.
I agree.
Towards.
So I'm going to say this is the Russell, but at the same time, this one has a little more. This one's a little smoother than the Russell, so that would mean a 6-year is smoother than a 10-year.
Maybe
could be possible.
All right, one more.
See, I'm kind of.
I don't know what
lines.
I want yet.
I was going to go with the sweeter one is going to be the Russell.
Yeah, I think this is the Russell and this is the Remus.
Yeah,
but
you had to go R&R on this, didn't you?
Like I would.
I get it. I get that flavor though. It's
coming
nice.
into it, I think I would have gone in my head. I would have gone Russell, but actually, I think again, assuming this is Russell.
Assuming, yeah, you're making a big assumption.
But this is the one I think I'm going to pick.
Okay. So he's torn.
The other one,
I love this
just
blind
a little
test.
bit too. It's just enough of a funk over
Bite.
the other one
Okay.
that I think I'm still going to go with this one.
Okay.
So I'm going to go this one. Which one are you guys going with?
I'm going with
I'm
this
going
one.
with this one.
You got it?
This is what we would want. We'd say is the winner, correct? Like we're not
2 out of 3.
Right,
as
right.
long as 2 out of 3
All
voted.
right.
All right. Ready?
There you go. Let's do this. Ooh.
All right.
Okay.
Mr. Lynch.
So my guess is that this is Russell's.
Okay.
10-year.
Oh, and you are going to pick the Russells.
Yes.
Or what you think is
But
Russell's.
what I think the Russell's. And it's
Okay,
B.
you got a B.
I got a B.
Okay.
I also went B,
Ooh.
but
Really?
I think this is the Remus.
I went A.
Oh, of course, asshole.
A.
A for asshole.
I think this is the Russell. I think A is the Russell. I didn't pick it because it was Russell. I just think it's a little bit sweeter. And it's close to the smoothness of this other
Okay.
one, but that funk turned me off
Really?
enough to where,
Okay.
compared to this, that I'd go for this. So I said A, but you two said B.
Yep.
Right, but it said technically I'm saying B, and I think this is the Remus. So I agree that I think A is the
Oh,
Russells.
Okay.
Well, you both said B, so here's our winner.
The winner is Russell's.
Russells.
Nailed it.
That means I picked Remus.
Wow.
That means I picked.
Wow.
Go ahead and lift that
Oh,
sucker
sure. Yeah, I
up.
was gonna say, watch this be like, ta-da.
I got the Remus. The
They're
Remus
both,
to me.
they're both Russells.
Gotcha, bitch. Oh, gosh.
I like the Remus. It's just, and it's, so I was right. This is smoother, so it is the Russell, but that funk over this, on its own, there's no funk. Because I'm comparing it to something that's a little bit sweeter.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like that Russell better.
I mean, I guess the good news is, depending how you look at it, Russell's ultimately won, which again, coming into this is what I would have thought would have won.
Right.
But I liked.
Yes.
I really like this.
Yeah, this
Not
I feel
only-
like this will put a little hair on your chest. Like this is more of like I had a rough week. Well, I needed this. Let's put it this way for this week. Like I had one of those weeks.
But so you
far.
think that is hotter than
Not
that is?
hotter, just more like, this is gonna probably sound bad, but more manly. Does that make sense? Like
No,
I
I
felt
get it 'cause
more
it's
like
more rugged,
this is
it's
more
more
like a like
Kick you in the face.
yeah,
kinda.
more like hey,
I
like
get you.
let me know
I
let
get
me
you.
know who's boss.
I get you. And I got that a little bit with Russell. You're saying that's the Remus that gave you that.
That was the Remus to me. Gave me that like
See,
punch.
I
Jane,
think
the Russells, I felt like I could drink this on the regular. This was more like hey, I've had a rough time. So
Jane, you ignorant slut.
Yes.
That was so much sweeter than this.
you thought this was sweet?
Yeah,
See, and I'm the one that likes sweet.
I know.
right,
And it's not so much the sweet on this one. I think it was just the smoothness of the Russells that got me.
Yeah, which I agree. There was smoother, but to me, the flavor profile, that one was just a little bit sweeter, a little bit nicer, a little bit more honey.
Would
a little
that
bit more
be because this was, what did we say, 6?
6. Yeah.
6-year versus 10-year?
Yeah. So would that be
You can't
sweeter
go
just
wrong.
because it didn't have enough time to mature?
I will say this. Anytime you can get a 10-year-old bourbon for $40,
Yeah.
it doesn't let you down. It's
Yeah.
good bourbon. It's really good bourbon.
Well, and I think we've discussed this on a previous podcast. This was the 10-year was the bottle that we'd
That's
heard
right.
we'd heard rumors that it was going to be discontinued, and I went rushing out to try and buy one, and
Right.
there was like tons of them on the shelf.
Right. In fact, even when we got it, there was a sale going on. They were selling them for like $30 a bottle.
Nice.
And we're like 6-7 bottles, you know,
Yeah,
because
it's good.
$30.
It's good.
But it's a $38 or $36 bottle. I should
fucking
have
inflation.
that up there somewhere, but I don't. So, shall we go to the scorecard here?
We shan't.
Yes.
That means you have to push
Yeah.
a button.
Sorry.
So, let's zoom in just a wee bit for this.
A wee bit.
We're moving the
A wee
Russells
moa. A wee moa.
wins the match
Yeah.
Yeah.
by a narrow margin of 2-1.
It's the Russells with Russells. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, this
The
is
Russells from Brussels.
like this was an interesting one. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's funny because it's I didn't think I was picking Russells.
I did.
I thought I was picking Remus because I thought that this was smoother and a little bit sweeter, and therefore I thought it was the Russells.
I thought because of the sweetness that I was also picking Russells. You were the only one who knew what you were picking, allegedly.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Allegedly.
Fuck, I just got lucky.
Right? Well, you got a 50-50 shot.
That's true, yeah. Put
But
3 up there,
still-
I'm fucked.
Yeah. No, I disagree. You did very well on the taste test when we did the blind.
Yeah.
That's true. I did
and we
decent.
were guessing what it was. I mean, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was awesome. Well, this
we
is
got shit
fun
faced,
too,
but it was a lot of fun.
Yes.
These are fun, but it's between two. So,
Yeah.
50-50
Exactly.
chance. Oh, geez. Yeah, they can't even hear the
No,
dog.
don't think so.
I'll let Amy know.
Well, cool. Okay, so that is our pick for our bourbons. And so now we get to talk about our movies.
All right, so let's pull up our movie slots here.
Are we still on camera too? Oh, no, there it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right, so as we can review here, we did Halloween versus Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and Halloween walked away with that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Omen and Black
Or
Christmas,
would you say The
Omen
Shape?
walked away with that one.
Yep.
I shouldn't say walked away. They were actually relatively close.
Yeah. I mean, even like we said, Invasion of the Body Snatchers was awesome.
Right.
Just it's hard to compare it to Halloween.
Yeah. So now we got Phantasm versus the Exorcist.
Yes.
Let the fighting begin.
Okay.
Now,
Game on.
I will say, Phantasm was my pick into this bracket.
Right.
To make it into this bracket. Would either of you have put it in this bracket?
No,
No.
I didn't.
No.
See what I'm working with? You see what I'm dealing with?
Well, and I think the other key to that is I think all of us picked The Exorcist.
I think so.
We-
Yeah, I
that
think
was
that
on
made
all
it
of our
hard.
list.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
true.
This is going up against a juggernaut with The Exorcist. So I mean, that's tough. But
It was tough. I will say this, that The Exorcist left me with a little bit of a lot of a fucked up mind because I saw it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And
I'm
the
with you.
glass taken off the head fucked me up for a few days. I get it. But Phantasm, earmarked horror for me. It was one of those movies that got me into horror because it was a little more over the top.
okay.
I'm okay with exorcism movies, but I'm not a big fan of exorcism movies in general.
Okay.
I'm with you with that.
Maybe because after this, there was like a billion exorcist movies.
Yeah, I could see that.
Right? Now, the Omen sequels were good, but everything else it just turned me off of exorcist movies.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's a kind of a one-trick pony, right?
It
Yeah.
is.
I mean, literally,
It is.
it's in the
a
title.
demon. You got it. They're going to exorcise the demon, and there's going to be a fight between the demon
I
and the
have
priest or somebody else.
exorcised the
right.
demon.
Right.
This
Right.
house is
It is a
clear.
one-trick pony. However, this was so well done. The
Yes.
Exorcist was
Yeah.
so well done. The storytelling was so well done. The directing was so well done. The visuals,
And the music.
the music. I mean, it was just that made it. The music to me.
Oh, yeah.
That made it. That whenever they play any of that music for anything else, you know what it is from 2 seconds in.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
it's
you
just
know
very
what-
atmospheric.
Oh,
Like
my
I I'm sure there's plenty of people that are gonna. I'm sure there's other movies that had atmospheric music beforehand.
Yeah.
But I think it's definitely one of the to exactly what you just said. Really, it's like it's one of those pieces of music that you know exactly as soon as you hear certainly those first few bars.
Right.
You know exactly what movie it's from, and you can, and all you think of is like a cold room and
Yeah,
like
right. Flies on the window. No,
right,
wrong
and,
movie.
and breath coming out. And,
Yeah.
it's like
But
Head spinning.
yeah,
but
and vomit.
Headspin. But because that song or Fortunato, or what is it, or Fortuna,
Right.
which is like with the operatic singing in there and stuff like that. Obviously, from an opera that was about sort of, evil things afoot.
Sure.
But it fit this so well.
Yes.
I mean, it just fit it so well. The fact that there was a choir singing parts of it made you think it was very, put you in that churchy mood of the, like choirs singing for the church.
Right,
or
right,
whatever.
right.
It was just, it couldn't have been better if they wrote it themselves. So they didn't need to, of course, because it was already a song. But it was so well placed.
I see. I mean, and I think the reason, I actually turns out I watched Phantasm like twice in the last 12 months.
Wow.
Wow. How about that?
And and Phantasm is an interesting movie. I mean, in other words, I think to your
Sure.
point, I think it's one of these things where Exorcist
I know what
was a big budget studio movie.
Right.
And had everything that kind of goes along with that.
Sure.
Everything we just said, like, amazing score, amazing
Phantasm
acting,
was
all
the
that kind of
opposite
stuff.
of budget.
It had very little budget. It was like a $300,000 budget. But I do think it's, it was one of the first movies that I remember that at the point that I was at an age where I could go to a video store and rent a movie.
Yeah.
There was already like 2 or 3
Phantasm out there. Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because I think Phantasm 2 was...
Am I that much older than you or something? I can't remember when 2 came out.
Phantasm 2 was like 82 and Phantasm 3...
It was 10 years after the first one.
Really?
Yeah, the first one was 77, I think, and the second one was like...
I thought it was
79. Phantasm was 79.
79, so the other one was... I mean, I'm telling you, it was like... Well, go ahead.
Anyway, so I just remember, again, I can remember the box art on the VHS and seeing the tall man and the sphere. I think it's cool. It has some iconic pieces to it. I think where it falls down is the story. I think the story just has a hard time making sense, and that was to one of the things that you were talking earlier. So that the original version was over 3 hours long.
Ooh. Well, yeah, but I mean, most directors do that. They shoot the long version, everything they want, then they have to whittle it down to what.
So it went down to 89 minutes, and so some of the plot points were taken out because of that.
You can tell that from watching the movie that plot points were taken out.
Well, and that, like to Logan's point about like the dwarves. Mm-hmm. Sorry, the dwarves.
They
mini.
They
call them dwarves in the movie. That's
they
fine.
did call them dwarves.
Just
You're right.
Movie accurate here.
It's kind of the backstory to them didn't really get explained.
Yeah.
But so interestingly, about 45 minutes of that footage that was cut was used in Phantasm 4.
Right, and I did want to make that as a point too. That every time they came out with a sequel, they explained a little bit more of the story and a little bit more of the backstory of what it was.
And that was one of my gripes about Phantasm was I like the fact that they left it a little open because of that. But then there was parts where I'm like, okay, they crushed them down. Why? Like, I've never seen 2 and beyond. I've only seen Phantasm.
But they explained that in Phantasm 1. They explained it was because of the gravity.
Right.
Yeah, but what, did the gravity shrink them?
No. They had to be lower because the gravity was heavier.
And they were too tall. They would have like broken over and stuff.
Did he smush them himself? Like,
that's what the cases were. The big cases smushed them down. It compressed them.
So that allowed them to go through the gate.
Because they had those, whatever, the vats or whatever that they were in. I'm like,
it's okay. You probably just didn't pay attention to the movie at all.
Well, there's that. But no, but it just to me, I'm like, okay, they're keeping them in there, but then how can they, like, that guy just died. How did he shrink that so quickly? Like, if you would have had to crush him, is what I'm kind of getting at.
Movie magic.
I get it. That's honestly, but that was where. But then I also liked that part of it, where it's like, I don't know, Mike, because my brain started going in 50 different directions, and I'm thinking to myself, maybe, it is because of the gravity, but is it because when they're on there, it shrunk them, and then they threw them back into those things, which I thought was kind of funny because those barrels came crashing down on that guy, and they looked pretty light.
Yeah.
So, considering they said that one guy was 200 pounds, even though he was still only 3 feet tall.
Yeah.
But but I also liked, the metals, rods and things like honestly, I got the feeling of kind of Lynch. Like a David Lynch film.
Oh, because the white room,
white room. You don't know what that is,
Sure.
and then that guy figuring out, well, if I tune it like a fork, maybe see what happens. I thought that was kind of cool how they did that, and I liked that it was kind of ambiguous as well. And that this is probably only maybe the 3rd time I've seen this movie was to see this. See it for this review.
Well, that's good. 3 times for a movie.
Yeah, but I remembered thinking it wasn't too bad the first time. Second time I was kind of like, all right. Now this time I'm like, okay, I think I can appreciate it a little more.
Okay.
Because I'm looking at it from the perspective of, all right, this is because Angus is scary as shit. But I heard he's like he was the nicest guy.
Yeah, was in real life. Yeah, right.
Right. But like just looking at him, I'd piss myself.
Yeah. But here's the thing with that movie is the acting is horrendous. Even the child act. Did you think Angus was bad thoe? No.
Okay, I was going to say he didn't have much.
But come on, it was hardly acting.
Right? He just had to go, boy. But the acting of some of the other people, like even the kid and stuff like that. I mean, and the movie itself, the writing for the movie, the way they wrote their speech, or like their lines, weren't really well written because they said things like golly, and it was weird things that you're like, well, that's not normal speech, that's not really perfectly written. But
was Halloween perfectly written?
But it had a niche.
Totally.
Well, no, exactly. But in Halloween, everybody was really, well, not everybody.
They were trying to be
most people were really good actors in it. However, this had one of those iconic scenes and iconic items.
Right.
In a movie, the sphere.
Which...
How fucking badass was that sphere?
That was not explained either. But I liked that.
Well, what did you want explained?
I didn't want it explained.
It's a sphere that kills people.
Exactly, because then to me, it gets killed with a shotgun, which I thought was interesting. I felt like it should have like
bounced
damaged
off.
it. Yeah, damaged it or something, and then because obviously it still comes back. But that is like one of the coolest. I don't know if you want to call it a gimmick, but
sure, it's a gimmick.
one of those things where it comes out of left field, pun intended, like a ball baseball.
Left corner.
But I do think the other thing that's funny is, and I agree, I think it's awesome. The kill scene in the head, hitting him in the head is like just amazing. But I do agree that I think the thing that's funny though is, so is the sphere just in like sentry mode? Where it's just like wandering the halls because what's funny though is there are times when they're walking around and the mausoleum isn't that big, and they're walking around and everything's fine and you don't see that, and yet other times when you need a little bit more suspense, now all of a sudden the sphere shows up.
So if you've watched after this, by the way, after I watched the first one, I got very nostalgic, so I watched the second one. My wife and I watched the second one right afterwards. So we binged them both. And the second one explains that.
Okay.
Which is that there is a box that they are kept in the back in a secret room that if there's invaders detected, they're released.
Kind of like a snitch.
Harry Potter snitch?
Yeah.
No, nothing like a snitch. Oh. That's a little fluttery thing with wings.
Yeah.
This is a goddamn laser with the... Oh, and it does more, by the way.
Oh.
They all killed sort of differently. There's a lot of different killing kinds out there. I recommend watching
my
two.
Favorite, though.
You went this far. You got to watch
I'll end up watching the others. Because, now that I know that there's parts used from the first one and the fourth one.
And I will say this, too. So the second one didn't have the kid that played the main kid in it, the actor that played the main kid, that didn't have him in 2. Don't know why. Didn't look it up.
He came back in 3.
But he came back in 3 and 4, and then the final 5.
Yeah.
So, and I will say this too. The other part, my other favorite icon or item in this movie was the car.
Well, yeah. You got to have the CUDA in there, right? Well, so
what a fucking car!
But he works on it all the time.
Well,
that's
so
a bad sign.
There was a joke in there about that because the CUDA had a reputation for being unreliable.
Oh, there you go.
The Barracuda but looked badass, sounded fantastic,
right?
But didn't necessarily run really well all the time. So that was their joke because that was a 71 CUDA, and this movie was recorded in 77, released in 79. So it was almost a 10-year-old car at that point. So they had gone through troubles, and it was the director's car. And so they worked that in because, 1, they wanted to make the kids seem smart. And 2, it was like a thing. If you owned a Barracuda,
you knew
it was
that it was going to break down.
Sure.
Because didn't they destroy it in 2?
Okay. So there are 3 separate websites dedicated to that car from the movie.
Oh, really?
Jesus.
The first one, after the movie was done, the director sold it off to a collector for $3,000. Something. Sold it off to a collector for less than $3,000. Then when he got the okay to do the second one, he wouldn't sell it back to the director to use, so they had to go find another one.
Which, of course, 10 years later, it was probably a lot more expensive.
It was not only expensive, but harder to find.
Right.
True.
So the first one was actually a 440 Barracuda. 1971 triple black 440 Barracuda. The second one was a Hemi CUDA. And it was a triple black Hemi CUDA, but the triple black's a little more rare to get. So they had a tough time finding it for the other one. And what did they do in the second one? Well, I shouldn't spoil it for you.
Yeah, that's all right.
Well, I know they destroyed it. But
they wrecked it.
Blow it up, sir.
But honestly, that car was like the other thing in that movie. That car was the icon. In every sequel afterwards, they had that car or a car like it.
Right.
They keep destroying
it. Wasn't it a convertible in 3?
No, it was not a convertible. It was always a hardtop. Oh,
really?
in 3, you think they made it a convertible? No,
Yeah.
that would have been silly to have a hardtop for the first two sequels.
Well, the tall man needs to fit in a car, so if you get a
convertible.
Well, he's just in the hearses that seem to explode and come back to life.
Yeah.
Right. Hearses are everywhere. You can get a hearse anywhere.
Yeah.
But you can't get a triple black Hemi Cuda everywhere.
So, we've talked a lot about Phantasm.
We did. See? You loved it more. We haven't picked it yet.
So
I just know that it's not going to beat.
It's canon fodder.
That was just more. We were being nice. I know you had a hard on for Phantasm, but
now listen here.
You had an orgasm for Phantasm.
I'm going to have a lot of people who are going to write at the bottom of this.
They're not going to say that's better than The Exorcist. I guarantee you that.
How that they loved Phantasm.
But there's a big difference, right? And it was, that is the, let's call it the problem with our brackets, is the fact that because we purposely didn't try and pair the movies up.
But when you think about it, it's still. You could say it's religious undertones, right? It's a funeral home in Phantasm versus. I'm trying
on that one.
No, but I kind of like that we went that route because it does it makes it harder. But honestly, though, Phantasm did better in my book than I thought it was going to against Exorcist. I'll give it that much credit.
Better in your book, maybe overall. But going up against Exorcist, you were predetermined.
Yeah. Well, but I wasn't predetermined because I didn't remember Phantasm as much as I thought I did. And I honestly, the acting, I thought, yes, it was subpar, but I looked at it from the whole that era, right? Like, I know there's not a lot of money that was put into it compared to Exorcist.
That's where I was going to go with that.
Yeah.
Compare budgets.
Sure.
How much was the budget? Warwick?
Exorcist. Oh my God, I keep saying Exorcist.
Man, I just love Exorcist.
Exorcist was $11 million.
$11 million.
It was a regular full-on studio movie.
Did Phantasm reach $1 million?
No, the budget.
Did it reach $500,000?
The budget was $300,000.
$300,000.
But we've also proven with Halloween that $300,000 you can go a long way.
How much was Halloween?
300
Halloween was more than that.
No, $300K.
Yeah, it was $700K.
No.
Okay.
No, maybe the second one was, but the first one certainly wasn't.
300,000.
Okay.
So that's where it kind of flip flops, right? Like it shows that a 300,000 done properly can make a great film. And like I said, I still think Phantasm. It's obviously lasted this long, right? Like people still watch it to this day. Some people get tattoos.
There's cosplay.
It's
very hard to find collectors who have the orb.
Yeah,
but there's people who make those.
But so the other thing I thought was funny though is like to the conversation we had before about the fact that it started out as a 3-hour movie and then Don Casarelli, I can never say his name. Casarelli. Who did all five, by the way.
Yeah. Wrote them too.
Yeah, but so he cut whole parts out of this movie, which clearly were some major plot points. Yet he left in the part with Reggie and Jody sitting on the porch playing guitars.
Yeah.
It's like
that was to show a connection.
I think it was. I think it was to show a little bit more of like where somebody goes like, "Oh, hey, these guys are really good," just to get a little bit of a vibe going.
And just so the song that they sang, Jody actually, Bill Thornbury, he actually wrote the song.
Yeah, they're both musicians. Both those guys were musicians. But Reggie, who was played by Reggie,
yes,
was also a musician. He wasn't necessarily supposed to be not the lead, but the supporting lead, I guess, or whatever.
Right.
They didn't throw the twist in the end. It was predetermined. But he actually got a lot of fan response. So that's why he came back.
Like he
became a little bit more of a major role. He went through all 5 movies, all 5 sequels, or 4 sequels.
So I don't really have any real trivia, but the other thing, one thing I did find out that I thought was really interesting is, Angus Scrimm, he's 6'4".
Angus Scrimm, yep.
Hence the tall man. But in all the scenes with Bill Thornbury and with Jody, Jody is 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
And so they still had to put him on a box.
Lifts or something, right?
So he still looked like he was towering over him.
Right.
Even though he was really only like just a little bit taller than him.
Yep.
Just a smidgen.
So I thought it was excellent.
But they had good humor in that movie, too.
It was good.
So the one thing I did pick up some life advice from this is never fuck a horny bitch that wants to bang in a cemetery.
Hold on. That's 90% of my high school.
Yeah, I know, but think about it. Did any of them carry knives? You don't know.
I don't know.
You were so flabbergasted by the boobies in your face.
I carry a knife.
Is that why they were with you? Get in here. No, but yeah, that's the one thing is, I mean, if the younger brother hadn't gone screaming, I was playing the movie, watching it, and my kids were doing their homework in the background. They started laughing. They're like, "That's not an actual scream, is it?" When he's running through the cemetery, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's." They go, "Oh my god!"
But even that, when his brother, when Jody turned around, he's got the girl's underwear. On.
Yeah, I was like, "Why did he have his underwear?"
My brother.
Yeah,
and he didn't drop that. He got up and he pulled up his pants with the underwear still in his mouth and chased him. So.
Which I was still trying to figure out the way they were the first when she was having sex with the first guy. I was watching the legs. I'm going.
Because they bent wrong.
Yeah, it was like the way she was moving. I'm like, they're not doing anything. Right. And I get it, because he wasn't the greatest looking.
Budgetary constraints, they didn't all match.
But the underwear and the teeth was that made me laugh out loud pretty.
But also I do think you hit on something there, right? I mean, it's
still fun.
It was fun.
It was a horror movie that wasn't necessarily overly gory.
Correct.
But had
even with the driller,
still had some good kill scenes, even if they weren't particularly very gory. But it was fun. It was fun.
I agree.
And I think unlike Halloween, that was really kind of all about the scare. I think this was.
Well, we're not comparing it to Halloween, but you're saying because of budget.
Right.
The budget was similar.
Well, just in terms of like what they were going for.
Okay.
I mean, in other words, it's this was filmed around the same time that Halloween was.
It was.
Sure. So I'm just trying to give it some credit. I mean, it's like I think like this probably would have been certainly my top 10. Just wouldn't have made it into my top 4.
Technically top 8, right?
Yeah.
But I keep bringing it back to Phantasm, but we do need to give props to The Exorcist.
I think The Exorcist has plenty of props, right?
I mean, good point.
It's one of those where.
Movie?
Yeah, I mean, and
it was the first horror movie to
ever be nominated.
To be nominated.
And I think that the greatest thing about that movie is the way that everybody in it seemed to be into it, right? Like they wanted to be there, they wanted to make this movie, and I mean, granted, it had its issues with breaking Reagan's back, things like that,
right,
unintentionally, right? Like, but I feel like even after that, she still stuck with it, right? Like, I mean, she was in a lot of pain. But that for me, it's just one of those movies. I actually that forced me to go read the book. Just seeing the movie. The book, wow. I mean, it's almost exact. Like the only thing that's left out, which I almost kind of wish they would have, but in the book, there's a part where the housekeeper, the gentleman, I can't think of his name at this moment. They go a little backstory with him, and he's got like a sick. One of his kids is sick and things like that. But they kind of go into that a little bit.
The German guy was arguing with the director.
So yeah, I feel like it. But when I was reading the book, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is almost. I could picture everything, which was nice. But it's there was things too I could tell from the book, like they describe when Reagan grabs the guy's junk. Before that, her face completely contorts to the point where you can't tell that it's her. They obviously didn't show that in the movie because obviously they didn't have that type of capability back then.
Did they have a stunt hand, or was that actually little Reagan's hand?
That was actual Reagan
grabbing his nuts.
And then she smelled her fingers afterwards. I didn't quite understand that, but no. But
I do want to give you props, by the way. I didn't know you could read. Good job.
Wow.
I'm impressed.
Wow.
Color me impressed.
Wow.
I'm impressed.
Wow.
But it did have its iconic scenes too throughout.
Yes.
Right. The biggest things that made it all throughout any exorcism movie now is the pea soup.
Yep.
The 360 head spin.
Yep.
The crab walk down the stairs.
Yep.
I mean, it just goes.
Which was not in the
on
original, but.
Okay, good point. And even actually, even this one, because the one we rewatched did have that crab walk in that. It was a little less impressive than I remember it being, because in my head, you elaborated it coming down forward, and it just was a little side thing. It went by in a second.
Right. Sure.
So it was kind of a glimpse, but still.
I think the whole thing with her and her tongue sticking out, that was a little creepier to me than the spider walk. But
the jamming the cross between her legs.
Well, there's that too.
That was one of those things that you look and you're like, God, this made it past censors in the 70s?
Oh, right. Yeah. And the point is, like, her mother was on set.
Yes.
Yeah. And her, like,
Lick me.
Yeah.
Right. I was
like fuck me up the ass.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, wow. Let Jesus fuck you. I'm like,
yeah, it's like, it was a little extreme.
Yeah.
But I do think, so, I mean, seriously, I think, again, I know a lot of it comes back to the budget, but you had such class actors
absolutely
in it.
Absolutely.
You know,
that made a huge difference.
It's like if you'd have put that same character in a film with the budget of Phantasm, I doubt the mother probably would have been quite so
she would have been as
allowing of stuff like that.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
I think everything else about the movie was just so top notch. I mean, Exorcism. Oh my God, what is wrong with
It's
me?
okay.
It's okay. I don't know what movie we watched. It's all right. It's all right.
We watched so many.
Exorcist is just it's a classic. I mean, everything about it. It's even just like the stupid stuff that again has now just become so common in so many of these horror movies. But just the whole thing of like going into the room and it's so cold in the room that like everyone has the breath and stuff. Again, it's been duplicated so many times now, in so many other movies.
They're the first. Well, I don't know.
And I
think so. Yeah.
To that same light, I liked the fact too that like because that was also described in the book, is that right before Reagan goes kind of when she's with the therapist. There's like this smell that just takes over the room, and you see them all kind of
some of them do this.
Oh God, a couple of them, which I thought, I'm like, oh good, they actually included that type of stuff because that's something you don't really think about. Which there was a recent show, I think we talked about it a little bit, kind of a side note, but they did something very similar to that. It was the Mexican movie that.
Satanic
Hispanics. Thank you.
Yes.
They did something very
satanic.
Yes,
Hispanic?
which kind of goes along, but no, they did have a similar part like that where he's eating food and all of a sudden he just and then all of a sudden something shows up and I'm like, oh my God, it totally reminded me of The Exorcist. But they did a great job.
That.
Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly where they got it.
Totally, they're like, the Satanic Hispanics. But one thing I'm very upset I didn't do. There is a Pazuzu beer.
Oh, really?
Yes. And
where is it?
I totally didn't even think about it until right now. But and the funny thing is, my daughter pointed it out to me right now, at we were walking around. It was at I think it was at was it at Mariano's? It was one of those stores, and maybe Whole Foods. And
one of those stores, those stores that sell things.
Yes. And we're walking along, and all of a sudden, my oldest goes, Mia goes, "Hey, isn't that Pazuzu?" And I was like, holy shit. And I looked up and it's literally the face of Pazuzu on a black can.
The face, not the rest of Pazuzu?
No, you don't see Pazuzu's Pazuzu, if you know what I'm saying.
This is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Your daughters get to see Pazuzu with the Pazuzu?
Sort of.
Okay. All right. Good fathering.
So the only kind of like, I don't really have, again,
that's what any nicknames now.
You don't have trivia for this one?
But the other thing I thought was actually interesting was I did read that, of course, the famous pea soup vomit scene, the vomit came out a lot stronger than was intended. And it was actually intended to basically kind of hit Karras
chest?
in the chest. But it came out stronger and hit him right in the face.
And he was...
And he kept going.
And so the reaction that you see is his legitimate reaction to...
Yeah. Okay. Do you think that was really a director ploy? Because that seems like something
but sometimes you don't know. Like, you assume you're going to push it the exact same... You know what I mean? Like, there's probably somebody doing that, and they're like...
What do you want to bet the director went to the guy and said, make it a little stronger?
Put a little...
Yeah, we'll talk about it
because I want to get that reaction. I want to get that raw reaction.
Sure.
Yeah, there's lots of movies where
any Stanley Kubrick movie,
right? Well, and we're gonna talk about Alien in one of the other brackets where it's like the famous John Hurt scene. It's like no one knew how much blood was actually going to be squirting out. So that really was there. They didn't even know that it was something was going to be. They knew something was going to happen. They just didn't know what was going to happen.
Right.
And so
they
those
were
were genuine
down
reactions.
On the set and everything. Yeah. We'll have to cover that one when we talk.
I know.
About Aliens.
Yeah.
Which will be in a couple of weeks. But as far as this one goes,
so are you ready?
Yeah. Shall we vote? Let's vote.
Yeah. I mean,
I think it's kind of a given.
All right. Well, you know what? He thinks it's a given. I think it's probably a given.
Sure.
All right, let's hear it.
I'm going to go with Exorcist.
What a surprise that is.
Go figure.
I'm going to go with Exorcist.
Mr. Ass Kisser Price. And I think, to me, Phantasm was a movie that got me into horror movies or helped me get into horror movies. It had great iconic things, but there's just no matching the directorial phenomenon that is The Exorcist.
Yeah. Right.
So this was not as close as I was hoping it would be. I was really hoping Phantasm was going up against Black Christmas.
That would have been
a lot closer.
I think that would have.
You could make a loser's
Black
bracket.
Christmas, but I'm going to go with The Exorcist.
Just because, I mean, it is one of these things where not to, obviously, we all watch horror movies, and therefore, to say more obscure is not necessarily a correct thing. But I think Black Christmas is certainly more obscure than Phantasm is.
Yeah.
But it's I think in terms of the 8 that we have,
right?
Phantasm, Black Christmas, and Invasion of the... maybe not Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but certainly Phantasm and Black Christmas will probably be at the lower end of the movies that people have heard of.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Body Snatchers is way up there.
Right.
Yes.
But I think also, to be honest, way more because of a pop culture nature of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Everyone knows it, but
Sure.
I don't know how many people truly would know the 70s Donald Sutherland version.
I think that's one more people know than some of the other remakes that were done, I think, in the 80s or whatever.
Yeah, Gabrielle Anwar.
But let's face it, this was also a remake of the 1950s version. So
yes,
and that one got a big hurrah too. That one was very successful too when it came out. So
yeah, I mean, I feel kind of the same way about the Blob, the original one.
Agreed.
Good, but the 80s version
was
got
way
me.
better.
Yeah, that got me. And obviously it's probably budget. There's some things in there too, but yeah.
But again, I mean, it is, as we say all the time.
See, that would be a good matchup: Invasion of the Body Snatchers and the Blob.
Yeah, maybe both alien sort of outer space.
But also, I think it's one of these things where when we talk about it, certainly in the store, 228 West Main Street.
Oh yeah,
Ghoulish Mortals. Is the name of the store. Yeah.
Something like that.
We have a Universal horror section which is right at the front of the store in what we would consider the kid-friendly section, but in the 30s, Universal Horror was the height of horror.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
And so, in a similar way, I think the Blob from the 50s, that was probably considered the height of scary horror. I mean, all of those kind of stupid
giant
tarantula movies and all that kind of stuff. It's I think people legitimately went to them and were scared because they thought. Yeah, because of the whole atomic age, and they thought that.
What are you going to bring back with you?
Right. Yeah. So anyway.
Okay. So
Exorcist is the winner of the movie.
You want to show our bracket?
Show it off. Show you dragging it over there.
All right. So Phantasm. There we go. Phantasm gets
get that out. Look at just because you're in control of it.
All right.
I don't think so.
That's not funny. Not funny.
There, we'll put it right about there. I left it just.
And this next bracket and
we can look at the
subsequent bracket is going to be super hard as well.
Alien Suspiria is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, it is.
But to me, Halloween versus The Omen is going to be a very
easy win for Halloween.
Interesting.
Oh, no, I don't know. That's going to be hard. What?
I don't necessarily think that's true.
And that was my point. I mean, the winner between Alien and Suspiria going up against the Exorcist.
Right.
This is a tough. This is getting harder.
Well, when it gets down to the next bracket after these two, that's when it gets really who's going to win the big picture out of the last two.
Who's going to win the big prize?
The big prize of us giving a winner.
You can take it off of that screen. I don't have to look at that.
So you can see.
All right.
See our arguments.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay. So we've got a couple more winners here. We've got
Russell's 10-year.
Russell's, which I got to say I'm a little surprised because I liked Remus better.
I thought Remus was going to do a little bit better. I thought it was going to be closer, I guess.
But I've never had Remus before, so that was good for me. But
I've heard good things.
Pleasant surprise.
But the movies were not as closely knit this time, or close matched as I had hoped they would be. But that's okay. I think
you were delusional.
Go figure.
If you thought they were going to be that.
No, but that's just it. That's why I was hoping it was going to go up against Black Christmas.
Oh, sorry. So you mean yeah.
But the fact that it went up against friggin'
again, it's I think at the end of the day we still did the correct thing in having a random picking.
Yeah. No, it still came out pretty well. I think.
But this is one of the matchings that
easier ones.
Well, that are hard because of the randomizer.
The aha.
You know, and
I almost said like aha. I was like
hard. You know.
Yeah. All right. We're going to end it there. 49 minutes. Not bad. 50.
No, I think that's pretty good, man.
50
minutes. Let's wrap it up.
We'll cut it down.
Right. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming. Please stick around for the next brackets. Please comment on your favorite movies. Please let everybody know that these two are wrong.
Bring the fight.
Phantasm.
Bring the fight.
No, I didn't vote for Phantasm either.
I'm definitely up for some comments. Comment, subscribe.
Yep.
Flip us off. Whatever you got to do.
And also remember, we will be following up the 70s horror and $40 bourbons with 80s.
Please.
So start thinking of what you would pick as your like top 8.
If it's good enough, maybe we'll throw it in there. Maybe we could leave one little one of those slots open. A viewer's choice.
Oh, sure.
For the 80s.
Please contact us on Facebook or on YouTube.
Instagram.
Let us know. Or email
TikTok.
us. Let us know what you think we need to be or what movie needs to be in the 80s bracket. We will love to listen to what you guys think.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank everybody else. Again, social media, shit like that.
Yes.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bam. All right.
Yeah, boy.
Okay. All right.
Oh, hang on. So I need to.